blue collar, male driven, work with your hands type of industry.
Mm.
You could really understand why, right? Because there
Mm.
is a machismo culture of, hey, I'm not going to the doctor unless unless
Right?
I
If my
absolutely
arm
have.
falls off, maybe I'll go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's I've heard horror stories of someone getting a spider bite and having that turn into a staph infection because they didn't want to go use their health insurance coverage, right? Where you're like, hey,
Right.
if you just would have went to urgent care, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
But the same thing is with mental health care, right? If you just ignore it, it's going to get worse. It's not something that if
Mm.
I just keep shoving it down,
Right. Good
it's going to
point.
get better. So, back to what I was saying earlier about the stigma of insurance where employees think, well, if I use this thing, it's going to cost me a bunch of money. Well, if you're an employer and you're forward thinking and you're critically thinking about the benefits package that you're offering and you're actively communicating what that package looks like to your employees, you have the ability to get a significantly higher.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Body Bangin podcast, where we are here to help shops better themselves. And we're talking about hot topics in the industry. And I hear about a lot of things that are happening. I mean, I talk to shops every single day with and being CEO of Mickey Woods Marketing. I'm literally hearing what the issues are in your shops. But I'm also part of a lot of different other organizations working with shop owners, movers and shakers in the industry. And some topics pop up and bubble to the surface. And I think, why are we not talking about this more? And today's topic is really one of those because do a lot of talks, and I've had podcasts before where we talk about culture, things that are important in your shop. How can you better take care of your employees and your teams? Today, we're going to talk about something that really makes a huge difference. I've spoken a little bit about it before today, but we're going to get more in depth into it and talk about it in a little different way. And that is another way to support your teams that you might not be thinking of that is a huge importance, especially in today's world. So I've got on with me today a couple of gentlemen from Decisely. We've got Kevin Dunn here, who's the CEO and founder of Decisely, and we've got Richie Seaberry, VP of Sales. Awesome, awesome guys. Had the pleasure of knowing them for a couple of years now, actually. And Richie was on the podcast before. But for you guys, Decisely, just a quick note is you guys sell insurance plans and specifically in the auto collision industry. What's fantastic, how I came about them, a little backstory is SCRS partnered with Decisely because there are a lot of small shops that want to be able to offer insurance to bot their own employees, but they couldn't afford these big plans. And so they would have techs leaving and riders leaving because people wanted the benefits of health insurance. And Decisely came around, thank you, Kevin, and really helped our industry to be able to provide amazing services very affordably for these shops. And there's a part of insurance that we don't even realize we have oftentimes. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So, Richie, I'll just kick it over to you real quick. You deal directly with a lot of shops, in and out of shops, talking with a lot of shops, being in sales. You're part of SCRS, you're support. You guys both support a lot of organizations in the industry, so you're very well versed. When it comes to culture, what is something that you guys are seeing being a tremendous impact or being able to make a tremendous impact on our teams?
Absolutely. So, I just got to give a quick shout out to SCRS and more specifically the board of SCRS, who about 6, 7 years ago saw this coming. They saw
Yes,
that employee benefits, health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, all of these additional employee benefit packages, 401k, was going to be a challenge in the future for shops to stay competitive, especially with all the consolidation that's happening today in the marketplace, right? I mean, you're looking at all the major
absolutely.
those 10, 15, 20, 30 location shops. They're all offering comprehensive employee benefits packages. So, the board and SCRS, what they wanted to be able to make sure was that they preserved the ability for collision center owners with one location, two locations, to have the ability to stay competitive from that employee benefit perspective. And I think that, really leads into what your question you just asked me, Mickey. What are we doing? How are we seeing this impact? And if you rewind the clock 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you look at what your average tech was looking for from an employer, it's more hours and more money. Right?
Right.
That's quite what we typically would have seen. You go to, hey, what do you want? Well, I want more money, and I'm willing to come in on Sundays to do that. Now, when you conduct that same survey, you're getting significantly different results. You're getting, well, what's the 401k contribution? What's my paid time off look like? What's the employee benefits package looking like? You're seeing a cultural shift going from more hours, more money to what is my employer doing to help support me and maybe even my family, right? How can I
Yeah.
raise it? So
Right.
we're looking to their employer in this industry in that regards. And that is a great thing for employers who are forward thinking and want to take advantage of adopting a comprehensive employee benefits package that they can offer to those employees that they can make a difference in that employee's life, especially when it comes to a spouse or a child.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Before it was really self-focused and what can we bring back home to the family? And now it's like, now we understand, I think culturally, we need that umbrella because we're thinking, okay, we need protection against all the things that are happening in the world and insurance. As much as we all love auto insurance and health insurance, we do need it and there is the benefit of it. And they are concerned now for their families. And I agree with you. I see it all the time. The small mom and pop shops where they're losing really good people because there's no 401k, there's no health benefits. And people need that for their family because if they were to purchase it out of pocket, just on their own as an individual plan, the prices we know are insane. They're insane.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's right. And if you think about it too, is that as you said, that these small businesses, most of them are family owned, or a lot of them are family owned, and so therefore it's very paternal as well. And and in a paternalistic, environment like the culture that we've tried to create at Decisely is that you feel compelled to help folks with these types of things, and it still gives you all the business benefits from the perspective of you can do it pre-tax for both for your employees as well as it's also as part of your salary and benefits package. But it's a great solution, and it's more encompassing too because it's more than just healthcare. And healthcare typically is defined as people think of as hospitalization or going to your annual physicals. But there's as we were talking earlier is the mental part of it, and therapies and ways today of getting treatments for a shoulder injury by staying at your home and having an iPad sent to your house and doing exercises based upon the iPad. So there's all kinds of ways in which that you keep your employees healthy so they're coming to work and they're more alert at the end of the day. And especially in this industry, as it's a safety industry, so you need your people to have their focus and concentration on what they're doing at that particular moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke a little while back on mental health and having that awareness of how much this really affects the collision industry. And I had been told that the collision industry has one of the highest rates of suicide across all industries in the United States. And I was shocked. I mean, I know what we do is stressful and anxiety filled, but I had no idea that it was really to that level. So, just like you were talking about, Kevin, I really want to push into this. And this is really where the gem lies here for everybody listening is this mental health support. So, Richie, I'm going to kick this over to you for a minute so you can chat about that.
Yeah, of course. So I think there's a stigma when it comes to health insurance these days where employees think, oh, when I use it, it's gonna cost me an arm and a leg. So I'm just not gonna use it, right? I'm gonna have it
Mm.
for when I get into a catastrophic accident, right? Or even maybe even a little bit more simply saying, I'm going to have it for when I absolutely need it and I don't have any other options. What you don't see a lot in
Right.
the religion space is someone saying, oh, I'm going to go take advantage of my insurance that I have.
Mm.
I'm going to go on the offensive because I think it is quite common to have exactly what I just explained happen. You go and use the insurance, and all of a sudden you get a $300 bill in the mail, and you're like, where did this come from? Why? And it just really is a pretty negative experience for the individual involved. And so I think just speaking back to culture, right? When you're offering your health insurance to one of your employees and your employee goes and uses that coverage and they have a negative experience,
Mm,
they're going to look at you, right? This is, and you're doing a good job by providing health insurance, right? You're trying to do what's right by the employees, but they're always going to associate the coverage that you're offering with you as their employer if it's an employer-sponsored
good
health.
point. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what you have the opportunity to do as an owner is you can take advantage of the opposite effect, right? They're going to look at you and they're going to say, "Oh, my owner or my, employer is offering me this coverage. Wow, that was an amazing experience." So you can reap those rewards if you are thinking about the package that you're offering. So for instance, Mickey, you just brought it up, mental health, right? It is a massive problem in the collision space. You can really look at the industries that have problems with suicides, and it's usually blue collar, male driven, work with your hands type of industry.
Mm,
You could really understand why, right? Because there
mm.
is a machismo culture of, hey, I'm not going to the doctor unless unless
Right.
I
My
absolutely
arm
have.
Yeah.
falls off. Maybe I'll go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's I've heard horror stories of someone getting a spider bite and having that turn into a staph infection because they didn't want to go use their health insurance coverage, right? Where you're like, hey,
Right.
if you just would have went to urgent care, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
But the same thing is with mental health care, right? If you just ignore it, it's going to get worse. It's not something that if
Mm,
I just keep shoving it down,
right. Good
it's going to
point.
get better. So, back to what I was saying earlier about the stigma of insurance where employees think, well, if I use this thing, it's going to cost me a bunch of money. Well, if you're an employer and you're forward thinking and you're critically thinking about the benefits package that you're offering and you're actively communicating what that package looks like to your employees, you have the ability to get a significantly higher. I don't like saying the term ROI because this is health insurance, it's mental health care, right? Like this isn't
Right.
ROI, it's
Mhm.
about taking care of your employees. But just if you're looking at it from a numbers perspective, the best way to get the most out of your health insurance package is making sure your employees understand what they're getting. And part of that
Mhm.
is communicating, hey, if you go see a mental health care professional, this is what the cost would look like. And if
Mm.
you have the ability to make that affordable or even $0, you're going to get a much higher satisfaction rating out of that health insurance plan when your employees understand what they're going to pay for it, how to use it, and then this is the hardest part, actually getting them to go use it.
Mhm.
Right. Exactly. Well, I
Mhm.
had heard, so
Mhm.
I did a past interview with Andy Tilka from Tag Automotive, and I had to just pull up my notes real quick because he gave me another statistic. He said that 1 in 20 adults experience a serious mental health condition, meaning bipolar, PTSD, schizophrenia, but 1 in 5 people experience some type of mental disorder. And this is just the people that admit to it when they're doing the surveys, right?
Mhm.
So it's probably more than that. You figure, mental health disorder does not mean you are doing something crazy. That just means like high levels of stress, anxiety, depression that you're not even realizing is depression. So I think a lot
Yeah.
more people actually suffer from these things, especially like you're talking about in our industry, than are willing to admit it because it's like we don't talk about it because it's a weakness. It's we think of it as a
It's
weakness. Other people will view it as a weakness. So I'm not going to speak about it. I just keep plowing through. And just to your point, Richie, if it doesn't get taken care of, it just compiles and it becomes a
Mhm.
bigger problem. It doesn't, you don't ignore it and so it goes away. You ignore it and it grows. And I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest issue. I'm glad you said that because that makes complete sense. And the ROI piece, I don't think you're being insensitive. I think it's totally accurate that if we're taking care of our people will be more refreshed when they come and do the work. They'll be more present. These technicians, when they're working on vehicles, this is dangerous work. They're working with tools that can seriously injure, harm, or even potentially kill someone. So the fact that they are present, they're clear-minded, they're happier. I mean, talk about
Mhm.
culture. This is what we really want for our culture. And we want our people. I love when my team is happy and feeling good. That's what I want for them, because then when they come, everybody feels it. We all benefit from it. So rather than hiding from it, and I'm a female, I'm very confrontational. So I have no problem if somebody on my team is acting funky and I'm like, come with me, we need to talk.
Mhm.
But that there's not a lot of space for that. And I am no professional therapist. And they really
Mhm.
should be speaking with somebody professional with some of these
Mhm.
issues. Sometimes you just got to get something off your back. It's bugging you. But when we're talking about a lot of these things, these are deep rooted issues that have been being stuffed down since the age of 7. Who am I
Mhm.
to unravel that? No.
Yeah.
So super powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, and you hit it is that every owner, operator, CEO, you end up being a therapist because they talk to you.
Right.
And yeah, and the reality is you want them because a lot of times you just need to talk about it, but maybe we're not the right people to talk to. And that's
Mm,
the beauty about if you have healthcare insurance, it does cover visits to a therapist, et cetera. That typically it's either at no cost or low cost, and a certain number per year, because it's about almost everything in our life. It's there's always money problems. There's
right.
family problems. There's and remembering that it's not just about you is that the reality is that mental illness in teenagers, with
Mm,
the bullying and social media, et cetera, is that, let's be honest, some of us are old enough that we know what social media is, we use it, but we do not feel the pressure in which some people have felt this through the teenage years. And it's hard for us to relate, to think, how in the world is this such a big issue? Well, the reality is that, your health insurance should take care of some of that, and help ease that burden. And then the other life event is, people pass away around us. And sometimes it's, people that we're very close to at work and their family members, and, the
mm.
grieving part of that also impacts others and brings back memories of, other grief. As you said, 15 years ago, suddenly you realize that, how much dad meant to me. It's
Yes.
those types of things, they just boil to a pressure point. And so, we truly believe is that, benefits matter at the end of the day. And,
Mm,
this
yeah.
this is just another way that we can, help society, help, the people around us, and, who happen to be friends, family, and we treat them like that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't know if all of the insurance plans through Decisely, but at least some of them, it's not just you, the person working for the collision center or the mechanical center, whatever you're doing at your shop. It's not just the employee, it's the employee's family that also can take advantage of the benefits. So, like you were saying, if you're a teenager, because I'm a parent. We're all parents on here. If your child is suffering or your spouse is suffering, you are suffering. So when we
Mhm.
can get that support for our families, then we in turn benefit. And then when we're feeling good, then our team feels good. So it's really this kind of trickle down effect. So it's really powerful, and it boggles my mind that we don't talk more about this in our industry, and that it's not brought up when we're talking about culture and how we take care of each other. It's always, how can we pay more? Can we do shop lunches? Do we give an extra, maybe one day off extra for the holiday? It's like the mental health piece is so powerful. And this is something you may already have in the plan that you have, whether it's through Decisely or
Mhm.
not. So, as a shop owner, check into that, because if you've got it, you want to find out about it. So, like the gentleman here are saying, you can share that with your team so that they know they have access. They can start taking advantage of that. That they don't have it, just they can sit on it. I mean, what good is
Mhm.
anything? There's no value if you just sit on it if you don't use it.
Yeah, and nobody likes to be told what to do, is what I'll say too. And so,
Yeah.
when it comes down to something like this, and someone comes to you with a problem, you're not going to just push them off into this, and into a program. You tell them that's available. But what you have to do is you have to do just like you do for your business, is that you have to advertise. You have to tell them on a routine basis that this is available, and so that everyone kind of knows it and they become more accustomed to it. And then, if someone takes advantage of it, and they're open enough, have them to talk about their story. Tell them what
Yeah.
what their experience was, or and that also gets everyone else more comfortable with it. Because, to your point, if you don't talk about it, and it's hard to do. It's
Yes.
some of us grew up in that age, whereas, you fell down and, dad said, just rub a little dirt on it and get back out there.
That's right.
And
Jog it off.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think talking about it starts to normalize it because
Mhm.
we don't realize, and one of the benefits of speaking about things, that's why, mental health and therapy and talking to somebody is so valuable because when we shut these things in, they become untouchable. And when we start to allow them space to talk about, now all of a sudden they're not so scary anymore. They're not so depressing anymore. It's not so heavy anymore. And when we can talk with each other about things and realize, oh, you're not going to judge me because I'm going through this because you're going through this too. Wow, what a freedom and relief there is in
Mhm.
that. And yeah, I'm going on my lunch break because I have an appointment with my therapist. Can you imagine, or my counselor? Can you imagine a technician saying that to another technician? Most technicians are like, "You doing what? Why can't
Yeah.
we normalize that? Like, bro, yes, go get that.
Mhm.
Enjoy. Come back. You're gonna feel
Mhm.
1 million pounds lighter, and the rest of your day is gonna be better, and you're gonna bring that home to your
Mhm.
family. I mean, let's normalize
Yeah.
that.
It does, and is that I think that it's more normalized in the younger group too.
Yeah,
So
right.
as we're looking for more people to join the collision repair and automotive businesses, is that we're looking to the youth to come in there, and they are more normalized about this. And
Yeah,
so you have to have that an invitation to say, hey, we talk about it too, and
yeah,
and make it that way.
yeah. That's beautiful. I know that we're kind of coming up to the top of the time with you guys. We're trying to make these episodes a little bit shorter, has been requested by you guys, and this is something that we could probably talk about for a very long time. And the other benefits of having health insurance and things like that. Is there anything that you guys want to touch on real quick before we go that you feel like is important to mention, to think for shops to think about? Anything that you feel like we might have missed today?
Richie, you always have something to say.
Yeah,
So
I'm thinking about it. I would just say, I mean, this last year, I would actually 2, 3 years, and for the foreseeable future, health insurance for employees is going to be a top tier concern, whether they're getting it from you or they're getting it as an individual or they're getting it through a spouse, because there's a lot going on with our government and a lot of other things that are impacting health insurance. So I think this trend of health insurance being a top tier priority for you as an employer to address and make sure that you're getting the most out of what you're offering your employees is a strong strategy to pursue for, 2026.
Yeah, that's really
yeah,
good. And
yeah.
I would piggyback on that for my personal experience is I didn't have traditional health insurance. I had a health share program and a lot of other independent shop owners I've been talking to now that now you talk about something, you realize other people struggle with the same thing. I had a health share plan and now that I've talked about my situation, none of the hospitals around me would take my health share plan. And I had an emergency situation that had to be dealt with quickly and nobody wanted to take me because I had a health share plan. Um, and there is nothing more frightening in life than your health is failing and it's failing rapidly and you can't get anybody to help you. And not only did that impact me, I had a mass that they found. It was growing extremely rapidly and it was excruciatingly painful. I was very, very ill. It didn't just impact me, it impacted my team at work. It impacted our clients. It impacted my family incredibly. And the fact that we couldn't get help with that and it kept going on, it really made me realize at that time, and everybody around me and everybody I've told my story to is make sure that when you need the help, you have a plan that you can confidently count on. And thank God the Lord reminded me that Richie did this and talk to Richie. Maybe he can help you because nobody else could. And I called Richie and they were able to help me get on a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO plan. And I signed up and a week later I was in the hospital having surgery and getting help with specialists and professionals. And I don't know how much longer I was going to last. So I will tell you, um, from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint, spiritual at all, I would tell you make sure that you for yourself have really truly trusted insurance because if you don't and you're just hedging your bets that things are going to work out and you'll deal with it when you cross that bridge. You think you can't afford it. Let me tell you, there is value in the confidence of knowing that you have a plan where if something happens, you can get the help you need. And now, on top of that, knowing there's mental health options with this plan. I mean, I needed the plan because I needed help, but now with the mental health thing, that's amazing. Now imagine being able to provide that for your employees as well and how much they will value that because I share my experience and I've heard so many stories of people saying they had similar experience or they were on an HMO or I'm on a PPO. It's just one of those things. And I know you guys sell HMO and hey, God bless. You do your own thing. But point being, everybody's struggled with insurance in the past. So make sure you've got a good plan. Make sure you've got something sturdy that you can count on. You can have that peace of mind. And then look at the other additional benefits that will come with that plan. That's not just the physical, that's the mental. I mean, I have now like PTSD from everything I went to. I literally should probably get in with my therapist and talk about this because I cried for weeks when I got home from the hospital because I was finally so relieved to have the help. So our physical things also turn into mental things. So I really wanted to bring this up today because it's been heavy on my heart, even prior to my situation. And then when I went through everything that I went through and saw how emotionally and mentally it impacted my children, my husband, my team, our clients, people were worried and checking on me. Take advantage, talk with these guys. If you guys don't have something in your shop, I plead you to have the conversation. If nothing else, get the information. You don't have to commit to anything. If this isn't the right avenue, check something else out. But for your own selves, and if you're in a position to be able to help your team with that, man, if I would have had, and I even had people step out and be like, Mickey, we will hire you on our staff. We will get you. Like everybody's trying to do everything they could. Imagine how much that would mean to your own people that you're willing to make that kind of sacrifice to be able to provide that for them. You can't put a dollar on that value. And I'm speaking as a shop owner and business owner here. You cannot put a dollar amount on the value of that brings for your peace of mind and for your team, and knowing that that your employer is taking care of you as a team member. It's incredible.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
And it's the same way for an owner. The incredible feeling of knowing that you helped someone.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you guys hear stories all the time. And Richie's trying to be quiet because he knows we're trying to get through this in a short amount.
Oh, no, I'm not at all. You're saying like it's so well that I'm like, I can't jump in. It's just really good. So no.
Richie's other title is therapist. He's used to sitting there listening to
right.
you, to me, to everyone that comes to him,
No, I can't thank you enough, Mickey. You've been a great voice in the community, and we've I think 4 or 5 years ago was when you had me on.
Wow, crazy.
So,
yeah. Well, we'll put the link to that episode in the description. So if you guys want to hear a little bit more about Decisely and what they're doing, that was a while ago, but I'm sure a lot of information still is accurate. I'm also going to put the link to Andy Tilka's episode on here where he talks about his personal struggle with mental health and what they're doing. And they have a whole lot of amazing things. He actually came out with Break the Stigma, BRAKE, breakthestigma.com. Just to get some more awareness around this topic because he knows how it impacts. And I mean, he's got like 15 stores and he offers mental health options for all employees at every single store because he really understands the benefit of it all. So we're not just talking about this just because I had a situation with it. We're talking about it because this is prevalent across the industry and it needs to be talked about. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys for letting me get on my soapbox there. I'm very passionate about everything I just went through. I mean, it's fresh and it's powerful, and I've seen so many people struggle with it. We've seen too many suicides recently in the collision industry. This is something that has to be talked about, you guys. We've got to do something about it. And it's something that we can help with. It's not just something that we have no control over. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Richie, for coming on. Also, their information is in the description below. So if you want to reach out, you can talk with Richie. He can chat with you about your needs at your shop, get you some pricing, all that kind of stuff, see if it's a good fit for you guys. And they don't have to wait for open enrollment. I know this is going to come out probably like January, February, but they don't have to wait like a traditional health insurance plan.
Nope. Year
There you
round.
go. Yeah, you
We're
don't have to
ready.
wait till next year. Get on it. All right, folks. Well, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you click the like button on this video and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. And if you're listening on an audio podcast, you can follow us and you'll also get alerted when a new one drops. But appreciate you all. Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome back to the industry and the Body Bangin podcast. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, Mickey.